All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wabrakakwadash. Peace, blessings, and much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like. Pushing out this purified truth to the rest of the church who believe as well. You men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. Okay? So I'm going to start this off in the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 20. And the power said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And the power created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the power or powers saw that it was good. Now this was done on the third day. On the third day, sea creatures were created. And the sea creature that I want to speak on specifically, because it's recorded in the Bible, is a sea creature known as Leviathan. We understand that there's a variety of sea creatures. Some that, many will call mythical or not real. But there are many creatures in the ocean. Seeing that there's more water on earth than there is land, it would be silly for someone to think you've already heard or have seen every sea creature possible. So when you go to the book of Sirach, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43 and verse 24, they that sail on the sea tell of the danger thereof. So anyone who has experience in being a fisherman, people who spend a lot of time out in the sea, they can tell you of things they may have seen or experienced, things that they may not be able to explain. Okay? And when we hear it with our ears, we marvel thereat. You might hear of a fisherman saying, man, I tell you, I was in the middle of the ocean and out of nowhere, I saw some creature. It looked like a giant squid or like a kraken, what they will deem as a mythical creature. Someone will hear him explain that and be like, man, you lying. Ain't no way. He's like, man, I'm telling you, I was by myself. I was in the middle of nowhere just fishing, and this huge squid-like creature came out the water. It'd be like that. There's far more water on earth than there is land, okay? So with that alone, there's no way we can say, oh, that's not real. There's no such thing, right? I mean, you could say that. That doesn't make it true, okay? Verse 25, for therein be strange and wondrous works, variety of all kinds of beasts and whales created. So the Heavenly Father has created a variety of beasts on land and in the sea. You'll hear people speak of things they may have seen in the woods. People still talking about Bigfoot. Some believe he's a mythical creature. Some have said they've seen Bigfoot. Some have talked about seeing what's known as dogmen. Well, these creatures are created by the Heavenly Father because nothing is too hard for him. Okay? Everything was made by him. He made a variety of creatures. But again, the creature that I want to speak on is Leviathan, though, being a sea creature. Like how they say a lion is the king of the jungle, Leviathan, he will be likened unto the king of the sea. Okay? So reading 25 again. For therein be strange and wondrous works, variety of all kinds of beasts and whales created. So there's a various amount of, creatures that the Heavenly Father has made, whether you've seen it with your eye or not, whether you deem it as mythical or not. If it's real, man. Okay? Not seeing something doesn't deem it as fake. Okay? Let's stay in the Apocrypha. And let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 47. Upon the 5th day, thou said unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls, and fishes. And so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. So you have a variety of creatures that the Heavenly Father has made. And concerning sea creatures, they were made on the 5th day. And that includes Leviathan. Okay, let's go further down. Verse 49. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures. The one thou callest Enoch, being man, and the other Leviathan, which represents beast. Leviathan would be the king of the beasts. Okay? And did separate the one from the other. For the 7th part, namely, where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. You have the land, which is separated from the sea. Unto Enoch thou gavest 1 part, being the land, which was dried up the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan, going into the sea creatures in general, and including Leviathan himself, thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured of whom thou wilt and when. So Leviathan, he's basically being held back right now. And Leviathan isn't just one creature. There's a multitude of Leviathans. Okay? But the Heavenly Father has certain creatures that he has hidden to where people will deem them as mythical creatures. Because if the Heavenly Father was to bring them out, just the sight of them would actually put people in fear. All right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, also known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39 and verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. And the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Leviathan is going to be one of those creatures used in the near future to bring forth judgment. The Heavenly Father is going to bring a lot of wrath, a lot of mysterious and spooky things the Heavenly Father is going to bring forth. Verse 29, fire. Leviathan can bring fire. He could actually breathe fire out of his mouth. Okay, a creature that lives underwater and can cause fire to come out of his mouth while being underwater, that ain't no joke. The concept of Godzilla, you think, oh yeah, that's just a movie. The Heavenly Father has creatures hidden on earth that if people were to see them, they would drop dead from fear. Just the luck of them would put them in fear. Okay? And concerning Leviathan, the scriptures talk about that. In fact, we can go into that here in a little bit. Okay? But where was I at? Verse 29, fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Leviathan was also a creature created for vengeance, and the Heavenly Father is going to have Leviathans come up from the depths of the sea, and they're also going to start bringing judgment right along with a whole bunch of other things happening. Okay? Who knows? Because of the death It might draw Leviathan up because he's smelling bodies. The nuclear missiles making the earth shake, that may cause Leviathan to come to the surface and start adding to the destruction. But just know the Heavenly Father is going to do some things in these times. Okay? Some very destructive things. Going forward. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandments. So you have creatures that are just being reserved, set to the side until the day that the Lord's like, okay, go slay, go hunt for prey. The reason why people will say things like, oh, I've never seen such a creature. Yeah, the Heavenly Father has certain creatures hidden. He has certain creatures just, kicking back, so to speak, hibernating in the background. They in the cut, just waiting on the Heavenly Father's command. And then if the Heavenly Father commanded them, they'd come from the deepest parts of the sea where mankind has never went. And just the sight of them will have people wanting to drop dead, let alone being consumed or destroyed by it personally. The luck alone. All right, the Heavenly Father has some very, very monstrous looking creatures that men have never seen before. All right. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. They're not going to go against the Heavenly Father. They're not going to do more than what he asks or less than what he asks. They're not going to procrastinate and be like, yeah, I know you told me to go and devour the prey, but give me 10 minutes. No, they're going to do exactly what the Lord wants, when the Lord wants it. Therefore, from the beginning, I was resolved and thought upon these things and have left them in writing. So what we have to understand is the teeth of wild beasts, fire, famines, death. These are all things the Heavenly Father made for vengeance. Vengeance for sinners, vengeance for wicked, evil people. Leviathan is going to be one of those tools used for judgment. So let's go to the book of Job. This is the book of Job, chapter 41 and verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook? So when you go fishing, you catch fish using a hook. You're not going to do that with Leviathan. Esau is constantly trying to captivate things, constantly trying to put something in captivity. They're not doing that with Leviathan. So if you're ignorant, you may not know what Leviathan is. Leviathan is like a gigantic sea creature, a gigantic sea serpent that the Heavenly Father has at the depth of the sea. Again, there's multitudes of different creatures that the Heavenly Father has hidden that people will call mythical or extinct. Creatures like Kraken. They'll be like, oh, that was never real. Or Megalodon. That doesn't exist no more. Right? You have a massive amount of creatures that the Heavenly Father has made that he keeps hidden, even on land. When you look at the Amazon, there's so much of the Amazon, just like with the ocean, there's so much of the Amazon that we haven't even discovered. So there's no telling how big a snake could be, how big a spider could be, or an unknown creature that if you saw it, you would be, looking at yourself like, am I hallucinating? Am I tripping? Your heart be racing. Okay? But, staying on the topic, which it all fits into the topic typically, But going back to what I was reading in Job 41 and 1, canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook? You can't catch Leviathan like you can catch a fish. Or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down. You're not going to be able to bind Leviathan with some rope. Canst thou put a hook into his nose or bore his jaw through with a thorn? So you're not going to be able to pierce through Leviathan with some hook or anything for that matter. For a creature to live in the depth of the sea, he would have to have very, very, very strong flesh. Because if a person was to go to the depths of the sea, even in a submarine, and them things are very, very strong, they go down so deep, they get basically crushed like a pop can, a soda can. Okay? So for a creature to be able to live at the depths of the sea, where most things would not survive, they would be crushed before they even got to a certain point. How tough must these sea creatures be to live in such an environment? All right? Canst thou put a hook into his nose or bore his jaw through with a thorn? A thorn being like a hook as well, or like a spear, right? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Is Leviathan going to try to make a bargain with you, asking you for forgiveness because you got him captivated? Will he speak soft words unto thee? You going to be able to put Leviathan in the zoo and he's begging for you to let him go? You got some gigantic water park, and in the midst of the water park, you see these gigantic sea creatures that can't leave because they've been subject to captivity. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. Will he make supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? You know, here it is. He's asking for a covenant. Like, look, man, if you let me go, I promise you won't see me again. Right? Will he make a covenant with thee? Will thou take him for a servant forever, like you do certain animals? A lion being the king of the jungle, you can captivate a lion. Take him from his natural habitat, have him looking miserable, have him looking malnurtured, like he isn't being fed. Don't even give him a female or two. Okay, just a miserable life. But you're not going to do that with Leviathan. Okay, there are some huge creatures. There are some massive creatures that the Heavenly Father has hidden. All right. Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Not happening. Will thou play with him as with a bird? Or will thou bind him for thy maidens? You might have a concubine or two. You might have a daughter. Okay, you might have a wife. And you say, you know what? I think I'm going to gift my wife Leviathan. I'm going to captivate Leviathan for my wife's pleasure, or for my concubine's pleasure, so that they could, have a spectacle. Not happening. Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Here it is. You got people buying and selling Leviathan parts. One person has a tail going for an X amount of money. One person has a nostril. It's not happening. Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? One tail's over here. You got one of his eyes over here. You got his tongue over here, and they're all going for an expensive amount of money. Not happening. Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? So Leviathan can't be pierced. Okay? Lay thy hand upon him. Remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? So even the sight of Leviathan would be enough for somebody to drop dead or faint. Because people are only used to what they see. To see this huge creature that you would deem as a myth or not real, that will have you really losing your mind. Or even if you knew the creature was real and you actually saw it with your own eyes, that will put you in straight terror. Well, guess what? The Heavenly Father made him. So if you're, open to being scared of some gigantic sea creature, how much more the Heavenly Father that has it under control, that made it, that literally has it in subjection. Okay? Imagine going to the depths of the sea. Let's say you're in some submarine and somehow, some way, this submarine is able to go deeper than any other submarine has gone. And as you're looking out the window of a submarine, you're seeing an eyeball open up, and this eyeball is the size of a house. That's just the eyeball. You know, you drop dead. You don't, man, come on, man. The Heavenly Father is not a joke. The Heavenly Father is so merciful. He has creatures hidden because if he was to unleash them, people would just die off the sight of them. Okay? Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? So if no one is able to stir up and stand against Leviathan, how in the hell can we stand against the Heavenly Father? Who in the hell in their right mind would think that they're able to go against the Heavenly Father and win when he could just unleash, let alone a huge sea creature that you've never seen before, he can just unleash a dog on somebody and take somebody out. Let alone go into the depths of the sea to call one of his fierce creations, man. To where his visage, how he looks, would be enough to bring judgment on people. Verse 11, who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine, and that includes Leviathan. That includes these gigantic creatures that the Heavenly Father keeps hidden. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely portion. So at the end of the day, the Heavenly Father has certain creatures that he has ready for judgment. And when he's ready, you know, on cue, he can have various creatures just start attacking, just start destroying people. Okay? And the Heavenly Father will unleash Leviathan one day. Leviathans. Who can discover the face of his garment? Or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. So the look of Leviathan, he would look like, you know, an evil creature. He would look like a creature that could literally saw through anything just with his teeth. Imagine teeth so sharp and so tightly fit together that when he closes his mouth, you know, just like when you take your hands and you put your fingers through your other fingers, how they just fit perfectly through like that. Imagine seeing some gigantic teeth being shut to where it looks like he's smiling at you. And you see them sharp teeth, and just one tooth is about as big as, who knows, man, like 3 basketball goals, like 30 feet long, all we know. Who knows, man? But the Heavenly Father's not playing. All right? Just know that he has things that could truly bring fear to someone. Where was I at? Verse 13, who can discover the face of his garment? Or who can come to him with a double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come through between them. So imagine that. His teeth, when he closes his mouth, his teeth are sealed together, just tightly fit together, that air can't even pass through them. And you have to imagine, this is a creature that lives in the depths of the sea. Okay? They are joined one to another. They stick together and they cannot be sundered. No one on earth is strong enough to take down Leviathan. By his neesings a light doth shine. So if Leviathan was to breathe, he could actually breathe fire out of his mouth. And his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. So imagine seeing some creature under the ground, not under the ground, Imagine seeing a creature underwater. You're in the depths of the sea, and at a distance you see some gigantic eyes, and they look like red lights because of the fire that's within them. Okay? Out of his mouth go burning lamps because he can breathe fire, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils go a smoke. So imagine Leviathan breathing fire and smoke coming out of his nose, man. As out of a seething pot or cauldron, his breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. He can do this outside the water and underwater, man. Okay? In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. Again, he lives in the depths of the sea. So his skin would have to be very, very tough. So tough that not even a bullet, not even your strongest bullet could pierce through Leviathan. No man would be capable of piercing through Leviathan with anything. Okay? His heart is as firm as stone. So his heart alone is as stone, which makes sense. Again, he lives in the depths of the sea where the pressure is extensive. No person is capable of going to the depths of the sea. Even most sea creatures aren't even capable of going that deep underwater. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of nether millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. So don't nobody want to see Leviathan. By reason of breakings, they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold. The spear, the dart, nor the harp again. So nothing is going to be capable of bringing down Leviathan. There is nothing strong enough to bring down Leviathan. The Heavenly Father can. Okay, but no man on earth is capable of bringing down such a fierce creature that the Heavenly Father keeps hidden from the eyes of men. He esteemeth iron as straw. So just as you can just, take some straw with your finger, you could bend that straw. Well, that's how Leviathan sees iron. Iron is like straw unto him. He can crush whatever is in his sight. Okay? And brass as rotten wood. And rotten wood is very, very brittle. It falls off the bone, so to speak. All right? The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. And Leviathan, his body's so strong that even a nuclear missile couldn't bring him down, man. Okay? Darts are counted as stubble. So even if you had some man shooting arrows at him, shooting guns at him, you had a sniper from a distance with a 50 cal bullet, whatever the case may be, nothing can pierce through Leviathan, man. That's how the Heavenly Father made him. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. So he can breathe fire out of his mouth and cook everything around him, man. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is not his like, who was made without fear. So Leviathan, out of all creatures, he's the most fierce creature. Okay? He's the king of the sea. And there's far more sea than there is land. Okay? He beholdeth all high things. He is king over all the children of pride. So Leviathan, the Heavenly Father has him reserved for judgment. And he will be let loose here in these last days. Esau will not be able to take down Leviathan. And it's in my humble opinion, speaking as a man, that when them nuclear missiles get sent off and they start to detonate and the earth starts to shake, That's going to be one of the things to bring Leviathan up to start attacking people while nuclear missiles are going off. You're going to have spaceships all in the sky, and then you may even have gigantic creatures blowing fire and eating people as well. So I'm going to close it with this in Amos chapter 9 and verse 3. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So Leviathan's going to be commanded to attack at will. The Heavenly Father is literally going to bring judgment, and Leviathan is going to be one of those sources used. So seeing that there's a variety of creatures made, the Heavenly Father has so many creatures that he keeps hidden that if you were to see it, you wouldn't believe it. Leviathan being one of those creatures, man. The Heavenly Father is going to bring them out to play. So I pray that this lesson, it was simple and edifying. All praises unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.